Welcome back to Gamerspit, the show where I talk shop on the topic of gaming and hopefully give you some insight into how you can enjoy more of your time spent playing video games. Today, we're discussing the top 10 ways I'm a bad trophy hunter. Now that I'm making videos related to trophy hunting, I just wanted to clarify that I'm not part of gaming's elitist crowd. I'm just a dude who likes playing games and talking about them. So it should go without saying that I do a lot of things certain parts of the trophy hunting community would frown upon. But while I'm fairly obsessed with trophy hunting, now having over 200 unique platinums tied to my account, I was in love with gaming before trophies, and I'll still be in love with gaming if trophies ever go away. Anyhow, let's get to the list.
Number 1.
I don't care about completion score. Imagine you got the platinum on Minecraft when it first dropped. Your completion score was 100%, but before long, all manner of DLC trophies were being added to the list, dragging your score further and further down. Now imagine this happens in a game you hated by the time you completed it, and the devs release some extra trophies which register a 10 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. Ever since I realized such things were possible, I've had an aversion to caring about completion score. I also like being someone who can turn a game on for a few minutes just to get an idea of what it's like and never worry about the fact that I popped 0 trophies. I've done this with literally hundreds of games, and I'm saddened to think that so many gamers out there won't even try a game unless they're certain they'll complete its trophy list. The sheer amount of pressure that puts on your average gamer has got to be harmful to their enjoyment of games as a medium. So unless I want more of the game in question, that 100% does not faze me at all.
Number 2.
I've never used region changes to earn multiplats on the same game. My reasoning here is twofold. One, I just don't want to be someone who increases their rank by getting the same greasy platinums over and over again. Unless it was an awesome game I couldn't get enough of, this sort of thing rarely crosses my mind. And two, when it does cross my mind, I'm immediately turned off by the fact that I've got to buy the game again to be able to plat it a subsequent time in another region. And while it's true that a person could be mindful of sales, I'm just not that hardcore about my ranking. Hats off to those of you who juggle this sort of thing. Again, I think if doing this is fun for certain gamers, then it's what they should do. It's just not what I'm into though.
Number 3.
I'll get most of the way toward a plat, then stop playing the game. This one is admittedly dumb, but sometimes I've just moved the hell on with my life before realizing I never picked back up that game I put down. This usually happens when I beat a game, but have a bunch of mundane tasks left to complete, or a few daunting challenges. Take a break, I tell myself. 5 years later, I'm looking at the game with fresh eyes, knowing how close I was, but not wanting to go through the headache of relearning the controls and mechanics just to do what little still needs done, and before I know it, I've forgotten about it yet again in favor of a shiny which has less baggage.
Number 4.
I play a fair amount of Switch games. I cut my gamer teeth on NES titles, so you probably know how the rest of this goes. Not only do I still feel drawn to the new Nintendo games that are exclusive to the Switch, but I also have access to the online component, which comes with classic console gaming experiences. Thus, even when I'm not playing Switch's version of Dead Cells on the go since my PS4 won't travel, I'm probably blasting through all 120 stars in Mario 64 for the 50th time in my life. Then there are the days when the kids in my family want some lighthearted 4-player experiences, and there goes all the free time I had towards Super Mario Party. Sadly, not a single second of the time I spent seeing every square inch of Metroid Dread garnered me a single PSN trophy. And now's a good time to like this video if you feel my pain.
Number 5.
I go for plenty of quick plats and bad games. I'm old enough to remember when good games on PS3 had no trophies at all, and when fast plats were not yet dreamt up. To make the long story short, I would routinely get burnt out from tough trophy chases in those early days. So say what you will about a greasy platinum trophy, but for me, they really do afford a lot of balance and a sense of renewal which once upon a time did not exist. Still, sometimes I'll find myself suffering through an atrocious hour or two of these quick plat experiences, all the while thinking I could be working on the Ghost of Tsushima plat, for example, only to jump directly into another bad game and replay the vicious cycle in my head. It's probably because these games are so bad and because their completion rate is so high that I feel like an absolute loser if I leave them unfinished. Maybe I'm addicted to the speedy payoff, or maybe I really am a glutton for punishment. I do spend gobs of hours making completely free content for the world at large after all, but whatever the motivation may be, I'm not quite ashamed enough of said behavior to try changing it.
Number 6.
I often play blind the first time through a game. Unless you began gaming after the PS3 was out, you may not know the madness of which I must now speak. Growing up, the most thrilling part of gaming, for me, was having next to no idea what was going to happen as I turned on and progressed through a new game. I didn't read reviews, I didn't purchase guidebooks, hell, I rarely even looked at the back of the game box, precisely because I wanted to be surprised. And routinely, when I thought I'd done it all, I'd talk to a friend about the game and discover that there was something I'd missed. The thrill of turning the game back on and trying to manage doing what I'd shouted at my friend to not spoil the how of is something I often feel is lost on the younger gamers. We live in a world of immediate access, which leaves us no patience for such trivial things as surprise. We also have a massive backlog of games to see to, nothing like what I grew up with. So I get it, but often I do still boot up a new game and play blind. I'll do idiotic things too now just because I can, like ignoring collectibles or not playing on the highest difficulty. Odds are the trophy guide will eventually tell me what a dumb dummy I am for this, but that's tomorrow's problem, and I'm too busy living my foolish life in here and now's today.
Number 7.
I depend on guides. Even though what I just said may lead you to believe that trophy hunters are supposed to use guides, I've also been told that I'm not legit because I do exactly that. And I'm talking about when I really decide I want the platinum or the 100%. I will study a guide or two in obsessive detail, including the comments section. And I'll do this because I don't want to waste any energy or time doing things wrong. The Platinum Chase is, after all, very different from the mere challenge of beating the game. The Platinum Chase does not exist in the game's vacuum. It feels like a treasure trove you're amassing, and once you've acknowledged a given game is to be part of your trophy hoard, you must not linger. This is the switch that's typically flipped in my head anyway. Rarely is a game so good that I feel equally compelled to relish every moment of it and to flat out curb stomp its trophy unlocks. So it is that I depend on guides and videos and Reddit threads and even Google's search results when all else fails. There have only been a handful of occasions where I got something done when no guide existed, but never was it complete enough that I could write my own guide. Thus, Shane the Scrublord shall continue to read those guides at will.
Number 8.
My skill level isn't high. It's rare that I chase anything above a 4 out of 10 on the difficulty rating scale. Part of me knows that I can handle greater challenges with practice. I have handled a few such challenges, in fact. But practice is a time-eating commitment, and my life as a content creator with a wide range of hobbies has little interest in that sort of commitment. Sometimes I become fanatical about a game for a few days, playing its most challenging content until my fingers blister, but more often than not, I'll realize that I could be doing something more constructive with my time. Part of this mentality undoubtedly stems from the fact that certain platinums are just so damn easy these days. But mostly it's that the area in life I need to be the most skilled is when it comes to making money. And as it stands, I'm only mediocre with that. So when a game gets too hard, it just reminds me that real life is already that, which in turn makes me feel like I should put the harder games down.
Number 9.
I employ cheats and cheeses when I stop having fun. Speaking of games getting too difficult, I know from reading many guides that what I'm admitting to here is considered blasphemous by the trophy lords. You can seriously still go read guides for video games which pretend as though cheeses and cheats don't exist. They urge you to not use these sort of tactics because they'll ruin your enjoyment of the game, rob you of the accomplishment to be felt from doing the thing legitimately. But let me tell you, I still feel accomplished after using nefarious methods for getting a plat, and that's because what I often do is play a given game, a good game mind you, it has to be good, until I'm struggling to progress. At that point, I'll go full hog on the workarounds, the farming, and the exploits. And suddenly, a game which had started to break my spirit turns into a game I get to lord over, platinum quickly in hand. What I feel is the opposite of guilt. I feel the accomplishment those guide writers said I wouldn't, and I urge you to do the same, especially when the guide won't even touch on how to trivialize the plat, leaving you to watch a bunch of YouTube videos on the topic instead. It feels great to know there's no differentiating between the plat they have and the one I got without their help.
Number 10.
I replay games I've already platinumed. This one is going to sound insane to anyone who doesn't care about trophies, but I promise you there are a ton of gamers out there now who think they must act as if they're allergic to any game they've already unlocked every trophy for. And I'm sorry that I'm not sorry, because I don't want to lose sight of what got me into this trophy chasing mess in the first place, my love of games. Some games are simply too good to not return to on occasion, and I'm convinced that this problem will only be exacerbated as time goes on, as we've more and more games left behind us, great games begging us to play them again. I don't ignore that plea. Much like I need a break from longer platinum chases, so too do I desire a break from brand new experiences. Returning to the familiar continues to feel as amazing as it did before trophies were a fact of life. And if I'm a bad trophy hunter because I'm not afraid to play games with no more trophies to offer me, then so be it. There is only one #1 trophy hunter in the world after all, and odds are you don't have the time and money to eke your way into that top spot. So perhaps it's enough that you reach a goal of 100 platinums, or complete a single 10 out of 10 on the difficulty scale, or get the 100% on lots of games with no platinum trophy to offer, or even just engage in trophy competitions with your friends. But I think it's important to not lose sight of what every trophy hunter, even the great ones, are at their core: gamers. But that's my perspective. Let me know yours in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more content because there's a lot more of this spit to come.